I'm Daksha. I produce and host a show called The World Tour of Meditation that aired during the pandemic. It's on my YouTube channel. And I also teach meditation. I teach people how to find peace, calm, and stillness within them in this super busy, fast-paced world that we're in. And there are so many ways to meditate. Like, so often someone comes to me and says, do I need to meditate closing my eyes? If I sit, is that enough? There are so many ways to meditate. And my answer to any of these questions is always that you are never the same person right now as you were a minute ago. You are not the same person today as you were yesterday. And it is helpful to learn a lot of tools and learn for yourself what is helpful for you and to practice that. So with that spirit, with the spirit of like laying out a buffet, a banquet, a smorgasbord of different practices and tools so that you can be empowered to choose what works for you in a moment, I'd like to share 4 different tools today. All of them are themed around this idea of the color blue and meditation. You know, sometimes it's helpful to have an organizing principle, and I figured the color blue was as good as anything else. So let's get started. Get yourself comfortable, get yourself a glass of water if you want. And thing number 1 is a clear blue sky. So many times when you do like a guided meditation, you will hear people cue to like watch your thoughts as though they are leaves blowing on the wind, or watch your thoughts as though they are clouds flowing on the sky. And I love this image. It's like when I first learned to sit down and do a guided meditation, I don't know, I was maybe 5, 6. My mom was really into art of living and like the different courses they were offering around meditation and spirituality. So she signed me up for, you know, the one for young kids. And there were these images that I would hear in the meditation classes of leaves blowing, clouds drifting. And so let's try this out. Thing number 1, I invite you to close your eyes if you so wish, and just bring your awareness to your breath. You might like to exhale audibly. You might like to notice the rise and fall of your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Just for a moment, as your mind thinks, or maybe it's empty, whatever thoughts that arise or emotions, feelings, anything that comes up in your consciousness, picture it as a cloud moving against a pale blue sky. So you notice the blue sky in the background, and the thoughts, even my words, your thoughts about my words, your thoughts about breakfast or lunch or whatever else, are clouds that are moving against this canvas of a pale blue sky. Allowing your breath to deepen. And in your own time, at your own pace, I welcome you to open your eyes to a new moment in time. If you have a journal, you might like to press pause and just note down what you felt, what you experienced, whether you'd like to practice it again, how you'd like to practice it again, if you have any thoughts around this. And when you're ready, way number 2, the color blue and meditation. This is going to be a breathing practice called the channel purifying breath, sometimes called alternate nostril breathing. There are a few differences between these breaths. I'm not going to get into that right here. I've gotten into that in a different video before. But with this channel purifying breath, you're basically using different sides of your nose to breathe in and out. And when you do that, you know, they say, you know, when you use your right hand, it like activates your left brain. You use your left hand, it activates your right brain, something like that. I haven't studied this in great depth, but they basically like say that you can use different hemispheres of your brain by using different sides of your body. And so my understanding of this breath, based on what was taught to me, is that as you do it, you're kind of activating alternate hemispheres of your brain. what is also cool about that, and we can talk about channels if you're interested in the purification aspect, but I'd like to focus on the color blue for the sake of this. And what is also really interesting about this in the color blue is if you think of a lovely creature that lives in a big body of blue water, there's dolphins. And there have been studies that show that when dolphins go to sleep, either when they're falling asleep or when they're dreaming, their different hemispheres of their brains light up, like alternate, and then they kind of go into sleep. So this breath is also sometimes helpful if you're having trouble sleeping. I've been told it can be very relaxing to do, but don't do this lying down. Just do this like straight spine sitting up if you ever do this when you're sleepless, and yeah, dolphins and alternate nostril breathing and the color blue. So for this breathing practice, if your noses are blocked and if you have a cold, you want to blow them first. If they're still completely blocked, you might want to practice this just by visualizing it or at a different time. If your noses are free and you can breathe from both nostrils, take your right hand and bend down your ring finger and your middle finger like that. And then bend down your ring finger and your little finger like that. And then, what am I doing? Bend down your pointer finger and your ring finger like that. There we go. And bring your thumb to your right nostril and your ring finger and little finger to the left nostril. So you have like the ability to press and unpress, like a little lever, like a button you can push like that. And so with a straight back, sitting comfortably, I invite you to gently press the right nostril with the right thumb and inhale through the left nostril. And at the top of the inhalation, switch sides and exhale out the right nostril. Inhale up the right nostril again. Switch sides, exhale out the left. So this is one breath, and we'll just do a few more of these and just notice the state of your mind right now. Like, take stock, give it a word, give it a number, something to measure the state of your mind. We'll do a few breaths of this together, and then I'll ask you to just notice your mind again. So let's start. Right hand, pointer finger, middle finger folded down, thumb on the right nostril, these two fingers on the left. So inhaling through the left side, switching sides, exhaling out the right. Inhaling up the right side, you can close your eyes if they're not already closed. Switching sides, exhaling out the left side. Inhaling up the left side. Switching sides, exhaling out the right side. Inhaling up the same side, the right side. Switching sides, exhaling out the left. And a couple more, inhaling again on the left. Switch and exhale. Inhale up the same side. Switch and exhale. Once more, inhaling up the left side. Switch and exhale. Inhaling up the right side. Switch and exhale. And allow your hands to rest. Allow the practice to rest. Allow your normal breath to return. And just observe. Notice how you feel. If your mind is active, picture them as white fluffy clouds moving against a pale blue sky. Couple more breaths, just observe the state of your mind. And in your your own time, at your own pace, on an exhalation that feels really good, I welcome you to open your eyes to a new moment in time. So you might like to just take stock of how your mind, how your body felt before and after. And sometimes when you're learning something for the first time, your mind is kind of active. You're trying to figure out, is it this? Is it this? Am I doing it right? This is kind of weird. My hand's in a weird place. Is it this finger, that finger? Sometimes when you do something the first time, it can cause a bit of anxiety in case that came up. I once came across these really amazing healers. They did something called IET, angelic healing. Lovely folks. They lived over in Ireland. And they told me that they always recommend trying something out 3 times, because the first time your mind is kind of wondering, what's this? It's new, it's unfamiliar. The second time you're like, okay, I know what's coming next. Okay, I know what's coming next. I know what's coming next. And then the third time they're like, you can experience it. So if that was your experience today, try this out a couple more times if you'd like. And if you fell right into the practice and swam with it as a dolphin might, fantastic. All right. Third practice is another visualization, and this one is from a system of color and plant and crystal-based wellness that I practice called aura-soma, A-U-R-A-S-O-M-A. Aura means light, soma means body, aura-soma means light body, a luminous body, light in your body, ojas, just glowing stuff of that sort. Aura-soma is a system that involves color. And what is often said about the color blue in aura-soma is that it's a color of peace, especially blue and pale blue. They're colors of letting go, of peace, of the void, of just allowing a higher will to come into play rather than forcing your will. Just letting go, being at peace, and allowing the flow of peace to move through. So that's a little bit about the color blue. And this visualization is something that we often practice in aura-soma. It is also helpful in terms of navigating the world. It can be nice for letting go, but it's also helpful in terms of navigating, when you go out and you interact with a lot of different people, or you're, you have a meeting or a presentation at work, or you're going on the bus and there's all these different people. You're entering a room where other people were or are. There's all these different thought forms, all these different feelings, emotions, and the world is a busy place. And in that sense, to maintain the sanctity of your alignment, your field, your vibration, sometimes it can be helpful to have a sense of feeling and imagination, a construct of a sphere, an egg, a globe, something of that sort around you. And this practice, many people call it boundaries, but in this practice, it's not explicitly about that, but it also has that effect, as you may experience. So yeah, this one is called the blue globe or the blue sphere meditation. And there's 2 parts to it. Let's see whether we just do the first part or both parts. I won't know till I start guiding it and see what the energy is feeling like. So again, practice 3, blue sphere. I invite you to get yourself comfortable. Sit comfortably. If sitting is not comfortable for you, lay down. If sitting is very comfortable for you, then you might like to sit in a good posture for practicing yoga or meditation. And allow your eyes to just gently drift closed. Notice your breath, your in-breath, your out-breath. Always a good place to start, that breath. The pale blue globe, the pale blue sphere. I'll just start by chanting a few words and just allow the energy of these sounds, these vibrations to just wash through you, whether they make sense or not. And then we'll go from there into the sphere meditation. Soham, 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 shivoham, soham. Soham Shivoham. With every exhalation, allowing your body to let go a little. Letting go with every breath. And as you exhale, imagine a pale blue sphere that surrounds you. With every out-breath, letting go into this pale blue sphere. Every exhalation, letting go a little bit more into the energy of peace, the energy of blue. Not peace as an idea or a construct, but the feeling, the energy of peace. The feeling of pale blue. A clear, plain sky. Every exhalation, letting go into the energy of peace. Every out-breath, letting go into the pale blue sphere. And then bring your awareness to a point about 2 fingers inside and above your navel. And imagine here a pinprick of light, a pinprick of golden light. Just a little dot of golden light. With every in-breath, allow that golden light within you to glow a little brighter. And with every out-breath, letting go into the energy of peace that surrounds you. Every in-breath, the pinprick of gold light within you, glowing a little bit brighter. And every out-breath, letting go into the energy of peace, the pale blue sphere that surrounds you. Every in-breath, golden light within you glowing a little bit brighter. Every out-breath, letting go into the energy of peace. Every in-breath, the light within glowing a bit brighter. Every out-breath, exhaling, releasing, letting go into the pale blue sphere that surrounds you. And at your own time, at your own pace, knowing that the light within you glows a little brighter, and that the pale blue sphere around you allows you to let go, protects you, gives you a globe of peace in your aura. I invite you to open your eyes to a new moment in time. Again, if you have a journal, you might like to jot down just a couple words, an image, something about how you're feeling in this moment, like a diary, so that you can see for yourself the effects of these tools and practices from one moment to another. Like I said, you're a different person now from who you will be even an hour from now. I remember there's this really cool parable of someone coming to meet the Buddha once, and he was some wealthy, arrogant person, as the parable goes. And he says, okay, take me to this person who is so-called enlightened, this so-called teacher, take me to this Buddha. And so someone brings him along. And he looks at Buddha and, instead of touching his feet, bowing, giving him something, instead of paying his respects, he spits at the Buddha. And, the Buddha smiles, does nothing, stays in this, calm state. And his disciples, his students, are all really surprised because they've never seen anyone treat their teacher that way. And they've also, they weren't expecting their teacher to just have zero reaction to someone spitting at him. And, this man goes away and he has this epiphany overnight and realizes that perhaps it was in the stillness of the Buddha, maybe it was in the blessings, I'm not sure. But he has this epiphany overnight and realizes, oh my goodness, this is such a great teacher, what have we done? And so he goes the very next day with all the respect, all the adoration, all the bhakti, all the gratitude in the world to see the Buddha again, and says, please forgive me, I am so sorry. And the Buddha says, I'm sorry, I cannot forgive you. So goes this parable. I don't know if he actually said that, but that's what he says in this story. And again, his students are all shocked. They weren't expecting this man to spit at the Buddha and the Buddha to be calm, but they certainly weren't expecting their enlightened teacher to say, sorry, I can't forgive you, to this man who, did something, right? And so then the Buddha goes on to explain, just like you can't step in the same river twice, like you are not the person you were yesterday, and I am not the person I was yesterday, so I can't forgive you for that, is how this story goes. And, there's lots of interpretations and many things you can take from that or not take from that. But the reason I share that right now is, again, that notion that you're not, in my experience, like, I'm not who I am in the morning. I'm not who I am when I wake up. Like, I'm so different at different times. I have so many different states. I mean, there is an unchanging center, for sure, but there are so many different states of mind. Like, who I was when I was 16 is different from who I am now. And it helps me, and I've seen this in a lot of my students, to identify what state you're in, to get to know yourself the way you might a lover, and identify what state you're in so that you have a tool set of practices and you can see which one to use at different times. And so in that spirit of almost exploration of different tools and journeying and exploring, I always invite you, after any experience, to just jot down a couple words of how it felt, like a little journal, like a field notebook, because who you are today and what you experience from this practice today might be quite different from what you experience in it tomorrow, and you can see for yourself the effect it has and start to understand when a certain practice might help you, and so on. So far, we've talked about the color blue and experienced, I hope, the color blue and the pale blue sky and thoughts as clouds moving across. And then we experienced the alternate nostril breathing, which can be done like this, sometimes done like that. That helps balance the different sides of the body and has some connection to these lovely, incredibly intelligent, evolved creatures in this big blue body of water, dolphins. And then the third thing we did was this pale blue sphere meditation from aura-soma. And the fourth practice I would love to share with you that relates to the color blue and meditation, again, to me, comes from the sea and thinking about the sea and the sounds of the waves and the feeling of that and that idea of blue. So one of the first breathing practices I heard of, again, I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, and I had this older brother and my mom, and they were also learning it around the same time. And I don't think I was actually taught it because maybe I was too young, but my older brother was taught it, and him and my mom were like comparing notes on how well they were doing. And I was sitting there like wanting to compete in this game of like, you know, who can get the breath right? But I couldn't. I was too young at the time, or I didn't understand it. And I think for the longest time, I didn't know how to do this breath until I did my yoga teacher training at Kripalu Institute in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. Beautiful place, beautiful story, beautiful history, extraordinary teacher that inspired that place, Swami Kripalu. And when I was doing my yoga teacher training, they taught us how to teach this breath. And that's when I was like, oh, this is so simple. If only someone had told me this when I was 5 years old or 6 years old, I might have got it. That worked for me. It doesn't always work for everyone, this way of teaching it. See if it does for you. Maybe it'll come with practice. Maybe it'll come with imagining the ocean. Ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi means victory. So this is a breath that can help you to feel victorious, to be victorious, and to feel that flow of energy. It is also a really great breath for slowing down the breath, which means that if you want to move and breathe together, say you are doing some yoga and you're moving slowly and you want a breath to be drawn out, this breath is very helpful because it's like, you're basically constricting the epiglottis, which is this muscle in the throat. And therefore it's like, you know, imagine you take a pipe with water or air and you make it go like a little bit, it might slow down. It allows you to slow down the flow of breath a bit. So there we go, Ujjayi breathing. Imagine you're in a cold country. I don't know where in the world you are, but imagine you're in a cold country and you're trying to fog up a mirror or fog up your glasses with your breath. So imagine your hand is a mirror, and you're trying to fog it up, and you just go, as though you're going to fog it up. And now imagine there's a mirror behind you, and breathe in doing the same thing. And as you do that, pay attention to what you're doing in the back of your throat, because this breath is something we're going to do with the mouth closed, with the nose, but it's the same movement of muscles in the back of the throat. And then close the mouth and just let the nose continue with that same constriction in the back. It'll feel different because you're not breathing with the mouth. I don't know if you can hear this. If you've got the feel of a raspiness, sometimes sounding like the ocean, sometimes people say it sounds like Darth Vader if you're into Star Wars. If you've got the feel of that, if you can hear that, whether it's loud or soft, then I think you've got the hang of it. And if you don't quite, then just play around with this or Google and search Ujjayi breathing and see if there's other ways that people have taught you to find this. Little constriction, sometimes it occurs when the time is right. Or you might like to think about, sometimes it can also be a similar sound maybe to snoring. So maybe think about that. But I think that comes more from the nose. What you want here is the movement, the constriction, the movement of the epiglottis. You feel it here. You feel it over here. And when you get the hang of it, you can either do it super loud or super soft. For example, you can do it super loud. Or super soft. So I invite you to take a few breaths with this if you've got the hang of it. And if you don't, then imagine the ocean and imagine the ocean waves. Just because we're doing the color blue in meditation, not because it does anything with the epiglottis. It's just to stay on the idea of blue. So if you've got the hang of this, I invite you to breathe in and breathe out in Ujjayi. And if you don't, imagine the waves coming in and going out as you breathe normally. Inhaling in Ujjayi. And exhaling. Remember, the breath can be a lot slower here because of the constriction. So breathing in again. Allowing the breath to lengthen as you breathe out. As though you're stretching the breath. And for the sake of it, you might like to close your eyes and imagine that you're sitting on the beach by the ocean, watching the waves come in and go out, and breathing in Ujjayi as the waves come in towards you. Breathing out as the waves go out. And if the waves don't match the rhythm of your breath, absolutely fine. Just notice the water and breathe. And allowing the practice to melt into the ocean, allowing your normal breath to return, allowing your body to relax, allowing the shoulders to relax, allowing your whole being to relax. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And again, on an exhale that feels good, maybe allowing your eyes to open to a new moment in time. If you wish to continue meditating or relax, just lie down and let yourself relax as long as it feels good to your body. Thanks for coming on this little exploration of the color blue and meditation with me. I love trying out new things, so if you have requests, ideas, questions, feel free to send me an email, hi@daksha, D-A-K-S-H-A, meditation.com. That's hi, H-I, at D-A-K-S-H-A, meditation.com. And I'm not always the fastest to reply to emails, but I will see your email, and perhaps I'll put together a video addressing anything you might ask for. I hope these practices help you find a little bit more shanti or peace as you go about your day and as you go about your life. Thank you very much.